Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is B from GRS, and I'm back with my second live stream today. I did an earlier live stream with my man Bobby Vu, who's here in chat on Facebook, and he got to do all the modding, and I was doing all the talking, and I was itching to do stuff, but I had to do some wiring for my GRS Yoke. I figured I'd turn on the camera, do a really quick live stream just to show you guys what you can do with modding your GRS Yoke. I have had this yoke for a while now, and you know, I absolutely love it. It's my second yoke, actually. So you see one that's here. I have a second one here. So the story of me getting two of them, I ordered the Kickstarter version of the GRS yoke, you know, from Glenn way back in December, January when it was available. I knew nothing about modding at the time. I had just gotten my Star Wars arcade one up, and I, you know, loved the original games to a certain extent, but I was really more the trilogy fan, and growing up and playing BattlePod, that's really what I wanted to play. And so the GRS yoke was my savior. It was going to be what I was going to plug into a PC. I was going to figure out how to do all this stuff. But you know, it said it wasn't going to come till summer. And then lo and behold, I eventually found the APAC, and then, you know, rest is history in terms of me modding the Star Wars Arcade 1-Up yoke to do all that stuff. But once I finally got the GRS yoke in like November or so, I've been meaning to do a lot more with it. And now that it's just been released formally, you can get it now from Amazon. You can do a lot with it, wire it up, you can install extra buttons, and I need to do some testing so I can map Starcade Playlist 2.0 to it, because I have a lot of clients that are getting the GRS yoke that want to use it with my playlist, which I have. So, hey, what's going on, Earth Monster? What's up, Dirk? Hey, everybody is joining in. Mike was saying, hey, you are planning a Star Wars racer cab with the GRS yoke. Yes, tell me, if you have a GRS yoke, tell me what you plan to do with it. I'd love to hear what's going on. Kilroy's did not expect another late night session, but that's okay. Go to sleep, man. This is me on the West Coast, just wanting to jump in and do a really quick session. But me modding this, I had issues with the yoke and what I was going to mount it to. So Greg from 99 Lives Arcade made a custom panel like that was meant. It's actually I'll kind of swap it. I'll show you this one. It was actually meant for Generation 1 Arcade 1-Up cabs. And so you would put it on the cab on like a Space Invaders or something, and it would be it's really hard to see here. Here it goes. I'll switch cameras again. All right, so here, this is a Gen 1 mount, and then the arcade portion of the GRS yoke is sticking out here. So while it's on the cab, it's fine, but when you're like holding it, it tilts forward. So I couldn't put this on my desk and map it. And so this is the normal angle that the GRS mount comes at if you get it from 99 Lives. And I'm going to be doing a full review of this. I haven't had time, but I mounted this one. I had it on my other Space Invaders cab or my Asteroids cab. But in order to do work on it and have it on my lab, I needed him to do a different version of the mount. So what I had him do was reverse the angle on the mount. So you can see this one where the long side is on the back and the short kind of side is on the front. I had him flip it with this mount here and make the mount on the, I keep changing camera angles, but here you can see it, but I made the mount on this long side, and then this back side is mounted there. And I have the board on the bottom too. So now I can just literally have this here, and it's perfectly centered on whatever I'm doing. So I kind of like this style better, what Greg calls his reverse mount, because now I can just set it. And this might be a better playing angle when it's attached to the actual Arcade 1-Up. So we'll see if I actually install it on another Arcade 1-Up. I have a lot of yokes, but that's why I have 2 of these boards and why I went through this trouble. But tonight's stream, what I'm doing is the stock GRS yoke, if you don't know, it has 4 buttons here on the triggers. So it goes button 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And then underneath the yoke down here, there's 2 more buttons. So this button over here is 7, and then this button over here is 8. So 7 and then 8. And so it actually skips 5 and 6. And the reason for that is on these actual connectors here, there's 2 extra little connectors here that you can plug in any type of button that you want to, and it'll register as button 5 and 6 when you plug it into a PC. It may recognize it if you plug it in. This is an original arcade port that, the original arcade was meant to use this. It doesn't really do anything for that. So it really is only meant for PC when you're adding it in. So I need to do some controller mapping, and that's the long story short. I have a whole video on wiring it up and adding the 2 buttons that you guys can check out if you want to see my tutorial on that. But here what I'm going to do is I took this, and I needed to add those 2 buttons to this new one. So I took this mount, and Greg had made this custom Star Wars art to put on here. And so this was the size of this square button here. So I just drilled a hole really quickly using my drill press, which I absolutely love now. This is a 29mm hole. Fits perfectly. It looks really nice. So this is going to be my buttons 6. And then this side over here had a space for this rectangle kind of image here. So again, this was just Greg just made this up. He made up this mount. It's in the style of the Arcade 1-Up arcade graphics. But since he had it here, I was like, oh, this is a perfect placement for a button here, and then there's a perfect placement for a button here. So not only we're going to wire with the buttons so they work, I wanted to show you guys this connector, because there's not only the connections for buttons 5 and 6 that you can use, but there's a 5-volt power source in here that if you tap into, you can power your LEDs straight from this. So when you plug in your USB, not only will you get 2 extra buttons, you'll actually power the LEDs. So that's the goal for tonight. It's really quick. So I'm checking just chat right now. What's up, Timmy? Timmy's in. Folks are saying late night stream. Yes, that's right. That's right. How much does Glenn's Yoke sell for? Listing on Amazon is $265. That's correct. So that is the current retail price of the Yoke. If you were lucky enough to get it on Kickstarter or an early backer, I think it was only 150 bucks at the time. I think they were hoping to get it at 200. But then the final listing price after everything was 265. So as far as I know, that's the standard retail price. If it goes on sale, maybe later on, but expect to pay 265. But I still think it's a really good price. I mean, the Allen one came down in price a little bit, but I still think it's over 300 bucks, like 350, maybe 400. And then that one uses different technology than this. So this is really rock solid, in terms of build quality. So that's 265. Timmy's saying Big Buck isn't in the background anymore. Small screen got you bored. True. So I moved Big Buck out into my den, which is where my main arcade is. And, I saw Cool Toys video. I saw Sean Watson's video. There's another guy named Billy Sweet that was on the forums that was, mentioning and talking to me about modding it. I have a funny short story about Big Buck Hunter while I'm doing this. I was excited to get the Geekworm LVDS to HDMI converter board. I literally got it 30 minutes before Cool Toy posted his video because I wanted to rush and see if I could make some content too. But he made a great video that showcased exactly what it can do. And I was in such a rush to plug it in. It didn't work on my first TV outside when I plugged into HDMI. And so I ran into this room and then tried to plug it into this TV. But when I brought my Buck Hunter control panel, I used the wrong voltage on a PCB. And I think I might have fried my Big Buck World PCB. So I have to do some more troubleshooting on it later. But I am Big Buck Hunter-less at the moment because my goofiness was being not careful. So even if you're a modder and you're the most experienced, double check everything that you're doing, this electric parts and everything. So rookie mistake. So that's what happened with my Big Buck Hunter. All right, so let's get back into this mod of what I'm doing here. So again, I have my LED buttons. These are just standard, square LED buttons that I use in a lot of my mods. When it comes through here, they're just going to wire up on the inside here. So when you actually get the panel from 99 Lives, you do have to remove that section so that you can mount the yoke through. And then I saw extra space here to mount the buttons and have it really clean. I could have actually put them through the control panel itself, but I thought it was kind of cool to have it mounted into the base. And then I could hide this component into the bottom part now. So that's the cool thing. All right, so let's get our actual button plugged in, just a regular simple micro switch. And so this is a micro switch, and then it has the red LED button attached to it too. So that's going on that side. And then I have my green one that's on this side here. Boom. Let's see, snap it in place. It needs to go the other way. Oh, it needs to go up. There it is. All right. So that's snapped in place. Good. All right, so now let's talk about this guy here, what this is. All right, so this here is normally the port that you would plug into a real Star Wars arcade, and then it would register the 4 buttons normally, and so there's some other things too that would power on the actual PCB or the actual yoke itself. So looking at the different holes here, there's a couple of colored wires in the back that are exposed that tell you exactly what they are. So all of these double wires in the front side here, these are all the triggers. So you have all the triggers up here. There's a couple that don't do anything. There's this big kind of ground wire. And then there's these 2 black ones here, which are your ground wires for the buttons. So these double grounds will allow you to kind of not only wire up buttons that use this simple micro switch where you just need to add a ground wire and then your input cable here, but it'll also allow you to use this red cable here, which is a 5-volt power source. So if we tap into this red cable here and get the 5-volt power source, and then so that's your power source plus the ground here, we'll be able to light up these LED buttons because the LEDs on the side of this need a ground as well as a 5-volt or a 12-volt source. And then that's how we power the LEDs. So we're going to be in the micro switch, again, using the ground from the blacks to do not only the ground here, but powering up the LEDs. That's the whole point of this video of why I'm doing this. Sorry if that was really complicated. I did have another video about wiring this up. So I already created some extra cables here to kind of plug into the extra buttons. So the micro switch is here. Let me pull it out so you guys can see it. So this is just a regular standard micro switch. So normally your input will come out of this side section here, and then your ground would be this bottom one here. So this is my input, and then the ground wire, I created this little splitter here. So I took literally one of these adapter heads that would plug into normally this size adapter. I think it's 0.187 millimeters. It's the HAP style connectors, if you can remember that. And I just took some pliers and I squeezed it to make it more like a hole. Took a little flathead, and then for the black wire here, I'm literally just plugging it in and just making a a really MacGyver fit where it just sits in there, and now I have a ground source, and I just tied two different grounds coming out. So these are going to be the grounds for my buttons coming out of here. So I have one ground on the bottom on this side, and then a ground on the bottom on this side too. All right. This one is a little bit loose now, so I need to tie this back down. Sometimes talking and doing this at the same time isn't the most efficient, so I want to make sure I keep this stream pretty short. Primal Bandits, if we purchased Starcade Premium and just bought the GRS yoke, will we get the updated version? Yeah, if you bought Starcade Premium and you want the GRS yoke, I'd be happy to send you the version that I'm going to map to the GRS yoke. Your story scares me. Did you not have a good ground? And how did you think you fried the board? So I literally I plugged in, instead of a 12 volt a plug into the PCB, it was a 36 volt 3A pack that I just looked at the tip and didn't really look at it. And it was meant for my aim tracks, where my aim tracks, you need a 36 volt power supply. And so I think I just overshorted it, but it won't turn on at the moment. I'm going to have to do some more troubleshooting on it later, but I was a little frustrated that I couldn't get it going and join the fun last night because everybody was already playing with their giant screen big buck worlds and big buck hunters, and I was left with a dead board for right now. For now is what I say, because I love to tinker, I love to fix stuff, and it's just anything can be fixed if you put your mind to it. So we'll see what's up. Okay. All right. So there we are. Okay. So I have now my buttons plugged in. So I have my grounds to the bottom part, and then I have my buttons plugged into these two little extra components. And again, as I mentioned, I have a full tutorial on this, but this is what enables button number 5 and number 6 when you plug it into a PC. And I have it plugged into this side PC over here as well. Okay, so now we're going to focus on powering the LEDs and getting them lit up as well. So for that, I have these extra little ground wires that I normally daisy chain when I make these mods, and I button them up too. So I have a black one and then a yellow one here. So essentially, this is another daisy chain ground wire where I took the same thing. I just took this and I kind of just used a pair of pliers to make it into a little hole. So this black one is going to be my ground. So fortunately, this little board has two black wires, which are two grounds, which is perfect. So I can stick this black one in here, just like that. It's a little bit loose, so I have to tie this. I have to pinch it just a little bit more so there's enough friction fit for it to stay. And again, this isn't exact science. This probably isn't the best way to go about securing something into it. They might even have Molex connectors. This is a Molex connector type. But for now, this works for my needs. All right, so let's stick that in there. We got some friction fit for that. Okay, and then I have my yellow ones, same thing. So now the yellow one that I have is going to go into this red wire here next to this green wire, this is the 5 volt input right here. All right, so again, this is a little bit loose. Let me squeeze this down so it feels a little bit tighter. Get a little bit more secure when we plug it in. All right. And I already did test this a little bit. I just wanted to turn on the cameras to show you guys, lighting these LEDs up. Okay, so now we're going to just simply take, and I can take this out just for example. I'm going to take the ground and put it on one side, and then the input on this side, and it should light up. And if it doesn't, then I just need to swap them. That's the only bad thing. It's like sometimes you don't know. And success. Look at that. Boom. power through an LED, power through the USB. There, perfect. And then we can daisy chain the other side. I can stick this through, put this button in. My button's all lit up now, powered by the USB that's plugged into the PC, and then tapping into that little arcade little adapters, which is cool. Like, so you can do a lot of stuff if you know what your wires are doing. Okay, and now let's plug in this red wire. All right, and we have one more. So we got this one here and this other ground. I hope this is the right way to plug it in. Okay. All right, first try. Here it is. Red is lit up. Boom. Okay, so let's secure that down. Secure that down. Plug this back in. What's up, Alan? Man, it's late for you. I was just doing a quick stream. You don't have to do this at all. I'm plugging in LEDs into my GRS Yoke panel that I got from 99 Lives. And so this was just me wanting to add the 2 extra buttons to the GRS Yoke. You probably will need to, if you want to use the stock buttons, you can add those 2 buttons anywhere on the panel that you want to. And you'll have options to this. I mean, you could light up these buttons so many ways. You can just use a standard encoder. You can use a 12-volt adapter or whatnot. But I like this option because now I can, hide all the cables in here. So like here are all the extra cables. Again, this was made for the arcade port. This was actually, if you plug this into the arcade 1-up, this is what you would plug into the arcade 1-up. And then this extra wire right here is going to my PC, which is plugging into a PCB or plugging into the PC right now. But look, I can just pretty much tuck all these wires in here. And then the only wire that's going to come out eventually is my USB one out the back, which I'm going to put into my panel. So look, and now I have an extra button number 6 right here. And then I have another button over here, number 5. Cool. So let's turn on the PC. I'll share my screen on this PC over here. And then you guys can see what it looks like on the, what it registers on as the PC too. So hopefully that was quick. I mean, I wanted to just show you guys adding 2 buttons, adding some lights using the stock GRS yoke. It's pretty cool. Everything's powered up when you plug it into the USB. You'll get some power out of 2 buttons too. So you can do this on my tutorial. I wired up the 2 buttons to the arcade 1-up volume switch, but it's literally, you can use any digital button that you want to. So sky's the limit. All right, so let's do a screen share. Share audio. Full screen. All right, so here we go. So we got my full screen here. Let's switch these 2. Okay. All right. Let's go back to sharing my screen. What happened to my screen share? Okay, hide. Go back. Stop sharing. All right, let's do it one more time. Share screen, share audio, this one. All right, there it goes. All right, now you guys can see my screen. Perfect. All right, so this is my other PC that I have my GRS Yoke plugged into. My Starcade playlist background. Still shout out to Roger Hirsch. If you didn't know the story about me doing Starcade playlist 2.0, he was one of my first clients, and he passed away suddenly in October, and I dedicated my playlist to him. So he has his name written in Arabesh right here in his years of life here. So shout out to Roger. I always think about him when I'm looking at this splash screen. Okay, so set up USB game controllers. We're going to go to the BL Flight Yoke 1. So this is what it registers as when you are plugging it into your PC. So automatically the yoke works up, down, left, right. Feels really super smooth. Let's check out our buttons. So we got button number 1 on the bottom right trigger. Button number 2. Button number 3 is top right. Button number 4 is top left. Then we have our buttons. So this red button on the side is button number 5 that's lighting up. And then this button on the right-hand side is button number 6. Oh, that feels so good. Button number 5, button number 6, button number 5, button number 6. So that's really cool. And then your last buttons that you have on the yoke, on the underneath, it's 7 and then 8, 7 and 8. So those are the buttons that you have. So with 8 buttons, that's the minimum number of buttons that I usually require on my Starcade playlist, like the basic buttons. My very first mod had just 8 buttons on it. And so everything that I have, you can play basic games with it. You know, my premium mod with all the bells and whistles, it looks nice, but you know, it's more options for gameplay than anything. That you don't really have to use it. But that's cool. Everything's working. You guys want to see some gameplay? You guys want to see me test it out on some Starcade playlists? I'm pretty much done with the mod portion of this now, so let me know in chat what you guys want to see. Got Bill right here. Bill's the client. What's going on? Alan's here. Oh, Alan says that's an awesome tribute. Thanks so much. So yeah, if you guys are watching, we have 18 people on stream right now. You guys want to see some action in Starcade Playlist 2.0? All right, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. So for those that just want to see behind the scenes, the reason why I needed to do this was because I need to finish mapping my playlist to use this. So I've started the process of it, but it's a really manual process. So the first thing I just need to double check is making sure that my Joy key setup is set up here. So Joy key is and should be running. Good. Okay, so Joy key is really critical for my playlist and when you're using this. So I created all these custom profiles for specific games and specific emulators like Technoparrot. Like I have it mapped to all these buttons. But since there's no dedicated shift key, kind of like the APAC when I was using it, you can hold down start and press coin and it would shift to button number 26. And so I would have that as my dedicated button. But since there's no shift function here, what I did was button number 7, which is the bottom of the yoke, which is my button number 7. What I did was I made it so using this advanced keyboard multi, when you press it really shortly, it makes a 1 key. So that's like my coin. So everything start for everything by default is like 1 when I'm playing Technoparrot for start. But then if I hold it down, it registers escape. So escape is a function for most emulators and everything else. So pretty much all of my playlist does that. So if you press the bottom left button, it's your start button. Just if you press it once, and if you hold it for a long time, it becomes an escape button. So that's really key for Joy key. That's just a little bit of background. Let's load up Starcade Playlist 2.0. See if we can get it going. Lunchbox. Let's jump into it. Let's test it out. Yeah, bring it. I still like watching my intro. That's cool. Android, gotta give him credit now. Make sure that he's in there. So they don't see this. All right, I'm gonna skip this in case YouTube flags this. But yeah, Scandroid is the theme that's running through here. But love the playlist intro. You can just press a button, it'll come through it. And then here you can now map and move the playlist using the yoke. So you can see me moving it. So I'm gonna do a couple of quick controller mappings just so that I can redo this. So I'm going to go into my main controller settings, options, go into controller mappings. So controller mappings for this game for right now, I have select as the 1 button and then back as the 2 buttons. So if I press this bottom trigger, that would be select, and then the left one would be back, which is fine. I think that's a good default setting. So we'll leave that for now. Yeah, I think we'll just do that. So that way we don't have to change anything else. I don't have volume button set up in here right now. So I mean, if with this stock controller setting, volume button might not work because we don't have extra things set up. I'll have to think about if we want to map default controls for volume. I don't know. What do we want to play? I don't know if anything is set up completely. Let's do a modern shooter. Let's do a Technoparrot shooter. Let's do House of the Dead 4. I think this should work. Let's try it out. All right, I'm gonna try it out. House of the Dead 4. I hope all my controller mappings are set. If it's not, then we'll have some issues. So I'm thinking I did this, but we'll see. We'll see if it runs and you guys can see it. But cool. So for the modern shooter games, or a lot of the games that use a mouse for kind of shooting, this really just emulates a mouse. So I created a Joy key profile where the yoke becomes a mouse. And the GRS yoke actually inherently has a mouse mode that you can go into, but then you have to manually switch it back and forth. So using Joystick key, it kind of takes care of that without having to do anything else. So that's the nice thing with it. All right, hopefully it's gonna pop up here pretty soon. Any questions in chat? Oh, some folks are here. All right, so cool, it loaded. That's a good sign. Good sign, good sign, good sign. Ooh, scary, huh? Just throwing a coin. Oh, that's me pressing the coin button right now. It's late night. I figure we should do something a little spooky and play some After Dead. Hope is a beautiful word. All right, have my credits in there. Press the start button. Hold my fire. All right, cancel with the start button. Let's go. We're going to escape. Escape. Escape.
They're all weapons I can find.
All right, hold your fire. All right. Oh my goodness. Okay, I gotta go. So yeah, so your triggers are your shoot, and then the buttons on top are your reload buttons. Yeah. Hold this down. This game is scary. Yeah. Yeah, there's no cursor on the screen for this game. So you just kind of have to, it's kind of how the arcade one was, right? You just kind of point and shoot. So when you're using a yoke like this, you just kind of have to shoot people as you go. There is a way where you can enable a mouse within the game, and then I've done a mod where I actually changed my mouse cursor to look like a gun sight so that you can actually, have the mouse in game. But then it would mess up a lot of other settings too, so that's why I opted not to do it for everything else. So some games will have a cursor on it already, which is helpful, but with this, you may not have the mouse instead. How's it before? Reload. Boom, 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 boom. For all the late night folks that are watching this in bed on the East Coast and I'm making you watch zombies, they're going to be in your dreams tonight. All right, so I died. All right, so that's a little bit of gameplay. So now if I want to exit the game, then I just hold the button on the bottom left, which is my coin button. If I hold it down, it's going to become an escape button, drop me back into my main menu. Then I can go into something else. Yeah. What's up, Bobby? Game audio is overpowering your voice. It's good to know. Good to know. I can barely hear what's going on. So, all right. So maybe I shouldn't share my screen. Maybe I can turn off the audio. That's okay. You don't want to hear me anyways while I'm playing, do you? All right. Let's try. Let's do, let's see. Let's go into, all right, this is the back button. Here we go. Ride and shoot. Yeah, this is fun. You guys want to see some Batman? Crazy Taxi? I don't think Crazy Taxi is set up yet. So I gotta go through every single game and make sure they're mapped to my controls. That's what's gonna take a while. So for folks that are waiting for my mod kits and some other stuff, I have to go through every single game and make sure they're remapped to these code controls, because right now GRS is 1, 2, 3, 4, but on my stock arcade one, like the APAC original mod, this was 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't ask me why I did it that way. That I started doing it that way before I knew what was standard, and that's how I did it. So I have to remap everything. All right, so it's a little bit over 30 minutes already for what I wanted to do, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the quick stream of me lighting up my GRS yoke and seeing that you can add LEDs into the side. And so this is just a little quick demo of Starcade Playlist 2.0 that you can see the yoke working on. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it. If you guys are interested, I'll leave a link to my Facebook group that you guys can join if you're interested in learning more about Starcade Playlist 2.0. If you want to do your own mod, the easiest way, is getting Glenn's yoke and then getting your own PC, and then hopefully you can map it to it and do some basic things. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Yes, Bobby's here, says clean like a mother. That's his tagline. My tagline is, to the next level. So just a little preview of what's happening the rest of this week. I do have a formal next level show planned for Thursday at 5. That's my regular time frame. And the show I did earlier with Bobby today was very impromptu, but I think we're going to start doing it regularly on Tuesdays under the umbrella of Next Level Modding. So the live modding sessions, I think people enjoy it. So that way we can go through it. So that's what we're going to do. So hopefully Tuesdays and Thursdays when I'll be here doing live stuff. I won't be this late, but this is just me. I needed to turn on the camera and get this out of the way. Alan, you're asking, so that mapping is game by game change, right? So yeah, I will pre-map all the games to use the GRS yoke already. If you want to go further and do additional mapping, you're absolutely welcome to go into the emulators and change the settings yourself if you want to tweak some of the analog settings or whatnot. So I'm going to do a basic run through of the whole entire playlist, make sure it works with the GRS yoke by default, and then go from there. That's it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you guys next time. Let's take it to the next level. Thanks, guys.